welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined as always by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, how are we doing this, rainy evening where I am, because it's been eternally raining where I'm at?
It's gonna be rainy here.
Oh, really? We kind of just had our rain like a little bit this past couple days, but not that bad.
It's been raining for, I think this is the 8th day straight of rain where I'm at.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been
we've been spared that. Yeah.
So we have,
You know what,
oh, go ahead, Matt.
I'll take that. What I really don't want this year is I don't want another heat dome that lasts like a month and is 100-degree weather. I was telling you guys right before, like my wife and I are really good about to start our like gardening, like flowers and vegetables and stuff like that. And it's like it was kind of a mess last year with 100-degree weather every day for like a month straight. So I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case. I can do some planting. And my wife she laughed at us because it's like when you're young, when we were much younger, like it's not where your mind goes. But now she's like, I can't believe like I'm old now. Like I look around and like driving down the road, like I look at people's houses and I'm like, oh, look at those flowers. Like where can I buy those flowers? And like how can I put those in my garden? And it's like, oh god, yeah, maybe we're old, but I also feel it's homeowners. It's homeowners. It's like I care.
It's really bad like with sports now because I was watching, I think it was Travis Hunter like putting his Jaguars helmet on, and I was like, and I've been noticing with baseball, but it's like, god damn, the younger players all look like children to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, at my oldest daughter's school, there is a young woman, and I have to say young woman because she is like apparently she's an adult woman. Like she's apparently graduated college, and she works part-time at the school, I think, or maybe full-time. Like she works at the school, and I think she just graduated college, so she's probably like 21, 22. And she's like the daughter of one of the teachers there, so she has a connection. But point is, like, I told my wife, like, wait, what do you mean she like graduated college? She's like, yeah, she's like, I talked to so and so, like she's done with school, like she's working at the school now. I'm like, she looks like she's 14, like 14, 15 maybe. Like I thought she was a student there. Like and I'm dead serious. She looks like a teenager, and it's like, am I old? Am I just old? Maybe I'm old because it's like, oh, these young whippersnappers.
So there's a YouTuber I listen to, and I thought he was like in his late 40s, early 50s. He's very gray, and he was talking about stuff like when he was in college because he's a lawyer. He's like a law tuber, and he's talking about college, and it was after I'd been in college. But I'm like, he's a lawyer. He's probably, you just go forever. And someone says someone called him a Gen X. He's like, I'm not a Gen Xer. Like, I'm a millennial. I'm an 85 baby. I'm like, you're 4 fucking years younger than me.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's all gray.
Yeah, he's all gray. But
I know people like that. I know people who are younger than me, and they look at least 5-10 years older than me. And I'm like, what life have you had? I think I've had a hard life at points in my life. I've had a hard life.
I have some theories about that, but like if you go back and look at old pictures, like and people just say I'm biased, but like if you go back and look at people our age from like the 80s, they look a lot older. And I'm talking about like other people. And my developing theory is that because everyone smoked back in the day, that prematurely aged you. Even if you weren't a smoker, like you went to a bunch of houses where people smoked.
The secondhand.
Because
there's something to that. Yeah.
There's a Scrubs joke about that. It says, how old are you, janitor? 45? 44. I look older because I drink and smoke heavily and sleep on my face and work with chemicals.
But so we have a show for you today. It is a show of shows. So we're going to be talking about all the WWE releases because there is quite a list. And then we're going to be talking about some free comic book day because I believe we all went individually to shops. And we're going to be talking about some Fire Pro Wrestling. So what do you gentlemen want to start with? Do we want to hit those releases first? Do we want to talk about some comic books, or do we want to talk about some?
We can start with being topical.
Okay. So they really haven't done this quite as much as they used to. This used to be like an annual tradition in the IWC, which is the post WrestleMania like releases. But this hasn't really
the annual bloodletting.
Yeah, and this I don't think this has really been much of a thing for about a decade.
They did it like the year before COVID, but COVID was so weird that now that time was all distorted in that. So
And they've
there
been
in my head, there's BC and AD, and then
yeah.
BC before COVID, and then AC after COVID, and then there's that weird spot in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, they traditionally, like you said, like they would do it kind of right after Mania, and
Yeah.
we're kind of in that zone because it's been like what 2-3 weeks
Mm-hmm.
after Mania. That's usually when they would do it, but with COVID, it got weird because it's like you would get. Well, I think that was probably all leading up to the sale because that was people's theory back at the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
That's what the rationale for it was. But
Well,
during the
they'd
COVID
been-
era,
That was also an overcorrection because they were coming off of like 8 years of talent hoarding.
yeah. But they did weird stuff in the COVID era where it's like instead of right after Mania, it'd be like we're gonna release like a dozen people in like October, and it's
Yeah.
like why now? But and some of them obviously were names, or became even bigger names. Like of course, probably the word is way too overused now, but fumble. They actually did, I would say, fumble Swerve.
Oh, yeah.
Swerve Strickland, like because they really made a horrible error, and I think in doing that they must have really pissed him off because he had the opportunity with the contract tampering to maybe go back, and he not only didn't do that, he's like, no, like talk to my attorney, like I'm gonna go tell Tony Khan what you're doing.
So
And then obviously
what's funny?
Swerve like in the last few months signed like a new 5-year deal. So
You know what's funny about that bloodletting though is Triple H like re-signed like almost all of his toys from NXT back, and the IWC was like, "Oh, Vince just didn't know how to use these guys," and none of those guys have gotten over. Like Karrion Kross.
have any of those guys? Yeah, have any of those guys done anything?
Karrion
like
Kross
notable?
is kind of getting over with his shooty shoot stuff, but I have a feeling that the second he like gets in a ring, that's gonna. I mean, who? It's a lot of guys he signed back. I guess Gargano, but he's not over. And then Bronson Reed has been painfully unover, and I think he's gone for a long time.
He's been injured since like Survivor Series.
Even like Solo, they've kind of waved the white flag on, just be like, no, this guy doesn't have. I guess
it's not working. Yeah.
Can we count Jacob
Well,
Fatu?
Yeah, well, that's a problem. Solo's problem is that they signed Jacob Fatu, and he's exponentially a better worker and more interesting and charismatic.
He's
and a better
everything's
promo.
better. Everything's better.
Yeah, he's everything they want Solo Sakai to be, but never will be. And I don't know why they were pushing Solo Sakai so hard. It's like
because they thought
they honestly
there was this narrative about him that I never got. I think they were trying to like astroturf him as a main eventer because there were all these people like, oh, he just has it, and it's like, no, he doesn't.
Mm-mm.
No, he doesn't at all.
No.
Like they honestly, not to fantasy book it, they honestly, in my opinion, and he's not good, but they would have probably done better taking like Jimmy Uso and trying to do like a dichotomy where now he's like the evil Uso, like, trying to think that he's bigger than he is and be a main eventer, and he's not. But I mean, Solo Sakai is not good. He's probably a better worker than Jimmy Uso, but he has no charisma. And Jey Uso's like the opposite because he has he has a ton of charisma and is just god awful in the ring.
He's better than
Like
Jay.
there's a reason why I don't think he's good at all. I think he's
better.
terrible.
He's better than Jay. I'll give him that much. I think
Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy's a little better than
Jimmy?
Jay.
Oh, okay.
Because Jay's actively getting.
I probably agree with that.
Jay's actively getting worse, and Jimmy's not. Honestly, if it was me, Tama Tonga, he would have been. I would have put him right at the top. I would have given him those matches with Cody. Wouldn't have been good, but Tama Tonga has charisma. He knows how to be a star, and you could forgive his crappiness in the ring.
Tama Tonga is a better worker, and he does have charisma. He's old. Is he like mid-40s? I think at this point.
He's like 41 or 42, I think.
Oh, he's younger than I thought he was. He was a pretty decent worker in the past. Not like great, but I thought
Passable.
Guerrillas of Destiny had. Yeah, I thought Guerrillas of Destiny had like some good tag matches in New Japan back in the time frame where you needed to be having pretty good matches.
And like when you have guys like Girls of Destiny, though, you don't want them going out there having these banger like technical go matches. You want a couple of shit kickers like shit kicking, and like match quality kind of takes a backseat sometimes.
I thought they were good. I think that Tongaloa is not.
He's terrible.
He wasn't great, but he got worse, and he doesn't care anymore. But
Was it
to your
Loa
point,
that was the one that had the god awful sequence of strikes he did to Okada in that clip? That's who it was. Okay.
Yeah.
I swear, I watched that and I am that clip infuriates me because I'm like, God, I was better than that.
The problem with that is that you probably forget even like you're in ring, like just as a fan, you've seen guys like try to throw strikes or whatever like that, and maybe they're not doing a good job with it, but they at least look like they're trying, they're like working hard. Maybe it sucks, but they're doing the best they can. He looked like he was doing it at like 1/4 speed. It really is like just I did.
Yeah.
Like that, and I was Okada. Well, poor Okada has to like act like he has to like selfie that shit. And it's like,
ow.
I swear, I don't know that it's in there, but halfway through him selling, my brain inserts him rolling his eyes every time he has to sell for those. Oh,
like there's
oh no.
I need to find the match so we can do it for the show, but there's a guy from Dragon Gate called Stalker Ichikawa, and he's a jobber. And like his jobbing gimmick is that he sucks. Like he's a bad wrestler. So like he did this challenge series, but like stuff he'd do is like he would go to German suplex someone and he just drop himself on his head and like concuss himself, or he would like there's one with Jun Akiyama where he's like chopping him in the corner and it's not doing anything, but he just gets tired and he starts like blowing up while he's chopping him. And there's one
the guy.
He's the one that if you saw, he came out like riding like the horse and then he feels up Amazing Kong and she just destroys him in like 5 seconds and pins him. But like even his chops looked better than that, and they're supposed to be ineffectual.
He's the guy who comes out. I had to look it up to make sure I was not mistaking him for someone else, but it's almost like he had like a bug costume on.
Yeah,
that's weird.
It's a very Japanese.
Anyway,
gimmick.
Yeah, but I know I've heard on like Voices of Wrestling, like the flagship, like Joe Lanza and Rich talk about him, and I listened to like a show not that long ago, an older show, and they brought up a good point. Like I haven't seen a ton of Stalker Ishikawa stuff, but I have seen enough of it because back like the days I was just getting a lot of random stuff, DDT and everything. Like he does. What's great about him, and the reason he's been doing this for like probably like 20 years or something like that, is that he does. It's pretty much comedy, just straight up comedy, but he's got to be really, really smart about it. Some people are just like, people get different things. They get different disciplines. You just must get comedy, at least the physical aspects of comedy, because he doesn't really, it's not like how you get, like we talked not that long ago about Brian Christopher, and like now you're stuck doing the Grandmaster Sexy gimmick, or even Scotty Too Hottie, like, oh, now I just will do the worm for the next like 20, 30 years.
Until my back gives out.
It's like, yeah, but Stalker Ishikawa doesn't just do the same stuff. He actually like innovates, and it's like different, like funny gimmicks or different like spots.
Well, his gimmick changes
like,
every time too. Like for a while, he was like Hollywood Stalker Ichikawa.
Yeah,
and stuff. Like
but
that.
it like he'll change it up, and he'll do something. Sometimes it'll be little subtle things like he'll do in the ring, like it's just to play up the comedy. And it's like you have to pause and be like, oh, actually, Dan, that's really clever that you like took that move that way, or you dropped down that way, or you did something, you gave a reaction. Yeah. It's not just like, let's go through the same routine like you're doing a song and dance, like vaudeville act.
And you have to be. He's also like from that school. It's one of the reasons I defend Disco Inferno and say he's not as bad a worker as people make him out to be, because to do your gimmick that you suck at wrestling, you have to be a really good wrestler to subvert it successfully and be bad. Like,
Safely.
yeah, safely be bad at it. Like one of my favorite disco ones is someone taught him how to do a leg lock and he's trying to do it in the match and he pulls out like the instructions while he's trying to do it. It gets beat. Like that's the kind of, but like, yeah, like I think that's what shows his skills. He's bad at it. Like he'll go to do stuff and he gets thwarted.
Disco's not bad, but he's also not great.
I've said he's perfectly adequate. Like if he showed up at your door and said, "Hey, can I have a match on your show?" You'd be like, "Yeah."
He's fine, yes.
And
that's what I.
And I will always give it to him that he has gotten the best match out of Conan that I've ever seen by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those releases.
Yeah. So can we just say, I just want to say before we get into these, my opinion on all these is gonna pretty much mirror. I think they should honor their contracts, but I think almost every one of these talents released, I wasn't shocked by any of them because either most of them were old and washed, or they weren't very good to begin with. Is just my opinion on most of these. But we can talk about the bloodletting as it happens.
So, yeah, and there's another thing floating around that we'll get to, but I'll run down the list. I'll start with the NXT list, and then I'll do the main roster list, because what the hell, right? You got to have some order to it. NXT, Danny Palmer, Javier Bernal, Jakara Jackson, Oro Mensah, Riley Osborne, Eddie Thorpe, Gallus, which is Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang, Gigi Dolan, Cora Jade.
These
then
names
on the main
are
roster,
terrible, by the way. I hate NXT names.
Yeah, they're really bad. Then on the main roster, Katana Chance, which by the way is also another just stupid ass name. Caden Carter, Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, and Braun Strowman.
Man, remember
So
when
there
Carl
was-
Fredericks was hot shit for like 2 seconds in New Japan? That's
He
been
was-
forever ago.
It was forever ago. To me, this is actually like, that's one of the bigger, like, at least of the NXT people, that's one of the bigger names because he's been in like storylines and kind of pushed in like the last.
Well, he beat Trick Williams
Like-
on that NXT show last year, and everyone was like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
"Why?"
Well, yeah, but it's also crazy. Like they're firing people because in part the rationale was that they did an assessment and it's people that at least in NXT that they don't think are going to improve.
No, I would.
Um,
I don't on grounds of talent. I don't disagree with any of them. Like with Carl Fredericks, especially, he's 34. He's not gotten better at all. I would actually say he's getting worse. So like, and he's been there forever, and he's still in NXT. So like, and even like when they released him, I'm like, well, I don't even know where he goes because like he's old. He's not that great, and I don't even really think he has that much of a name for himself.
So,
He was with. Oh, go ahead, Chad.
well, go ahead and finish your thought, and then I'll do mine.
Well, he was with that group of young lions who were part of like the New Japan dojo, and a lot of those guys then essentially graduated and went on. You actually are seeing them.
Oh,
or
Chad
have
might
seen
die.
them.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Seen them featured people like in the Bullet Club War Dogs and all that. And he got tired of it, and at the time I thought it was dumb because he basically blackballed himself, like the way he just like quit New Japan because he didn't want to do what New Japan wanted, where it's like continue to be a young boy for the next like 3, 4, 5, who knows how many years, and he didn't want to do that. And I get that because I have felt that New Japan has kept people in their system too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has come back to bite them on the ass because a lot of the guys that they kept around forever, like
Aren't
like,
quite
great.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, or they struggled. Like some of them they've developed into decent workers, or there's something that's missing. Like Yota Tsuji, I think, can have very good matches and has great like charisma, but there's something that it doesn't connect. Where he's like, he's not like your upper level. Like
They all have
don't know who
some
I'd
glaring flaw to them. It's just like he's I don't know how to describe him. He's like Brad Armstrong. He feels like he has all the tools, and it just doesn't come together quite right for you.
Yeah, I think he has the potential to be a bigger star. Lyoto Tsuji. I don't know how would I equate it to. I don't know if it's like
I don't know. He's had
for
his
AEW,
chances though, and
like
I
a
feel like
well, he might be like a Ricky Starks, where it's like you actually have a lot of talent and you're pretty good, and you have charisma and you can talk, but you're really intermittent. Like you could have a good match with a good, like a really a stronger opponent, but not necessarily great. But then you could then show up the next night and have like this is like a boring 2.5 star affair. Like
he just doesn't have.
okay.
There's some with Yoda Suji. He doesn't have. There's some it factor he doesn't have. Like he doesn't. Like it's kind of like what I said with Ricky Starks. He has some of it, but he doesn't have enough of it.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Shad? I'm sorry.
So the thing about this whole list is like, yeah, okay. First of all, I couldn't begin to tell you. Out of the NXT names, I recognize Cora Jade. That's really it.
You know, Gigi. I hate their names.
Gigi Dolan.
Yeah, so that's Priscilla Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would.
Well, my
She
point
did-
is,
She did indie stuff, and she also used to be married to Darby.
Yeah, you would know her if.
oh,
you saw
that's who that is.
Yeah,
okay.
you know her if you saw her, but like.
Okay. My point though is okay. These folks, you've got them. They're not progressing. They're not growing the way you want them to. Okay, I get all that. There, in any entertainment business, you're going to have people who you're trying to bring them up. You're trying to build them up to be something that's not working. Okay, fine. What I really hate though is this idea that these folks signed. I don't know. I'm just going to pull a number out of the air. 5-year contracts with you. They signed a 5-year contract. And if they wanted to get out, they're going to have to like grovel on their knees and beg to get out of their contract in order to go anywhere. But then the company can just be like, "No, we're done with you." And I can't remember who it was, but there was one lady pre-COVID that they signed. I think it was pre-COVID. Maybe
That
it was
was
right
Taya
after
Valkyrie, I think, wasn't it?
COVID. Is that what it was?
Was that the one
They
where like
signed.
where she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna move to Florida for you.
She
You're
she
not
moved
gonna
to
release."
Florida.
Yeah, it was Taya Valkyrie.
Yes, and Taya Valkyrie. Then she goes through the whole thing, moves down there, and then they just like, "Oh no, we're just releasing you." Like, I think that is a scumbag move. If you have a contract with them, honor out the contract, and then just say we're just not gonna renew it.
Or buy him out.
You know, yeah, but just being the fact that they can just turn around and be like, "Hey, we're going to slit your throat and throw you into the ditch because we feel like it." That's scumbag. I've always been pissed off about that. It's just been harder for me to put it into words until I could finally, a few days ago, the pieces fell into place. But it's like, damn it, you've got contracts. These people. Oh, we just got a note from Justin. It was Alice in Danger. They signed her as a trainer and then cut her.
They did it to Taya Valkyrie too.
They did it to both of them. One of them,
because Taya Valkyrie,
and maybe it was
like specifically said, "I don't want to move to Florida. Like, if I move to Florida, you're not going to release me, right?" And they're like, "Right." So she moved to Florida. They're like, "Oh yeah, we totally are." Because it happened after Alice in Danger, so I think she saw that. And Taya Valkyrie actually is like a star in wrestling, so she was like wanted guarantees, which they're like, "Sure," and they're like, "Ha, just kidding."
I think Alice in Danger was the one that like uprooted her life, moved her down there, dropped her kid off for her first day of school, and then after she dropped her kid off, they called her and fired her.
Yeah, it was Allison.
Like, it is a shitbag thing to do, and it's disgusting. And say what you want about the other company, but even if they're not using you, and you're not being a troublemaker, right? We've got to throw that caveat in there. They'll sign.
Clause should exist. So I mean, that's
what's
different.
that?
Firing someone on like morality grounds and like releasing them from their contract, I think is different. It's not the same as this.
Firing for cause is one thing.
Yeah.
But then to get to the end of it and be like, "Look, this just isn't working. We gave it a try. Contract's out. We're just not going to renew." That's they can at least plan their life that way. But now folks, whenever April rolls around, everybody's got to wonder if their head's going to be on the chopping block. It's like, hey, I just resigned in January. No, and they don't care. Someone in accounting is like, oh, this person cut them. It's not like Triple H doesn't know. Right?
No, I'm tired of that. That narrative is bullshit. Like he's picking.
Yeah, no, it's crap. Because if he wanted to keep if someone's name was on this list, I'm just going to pick a name off of it. If he really wanted to keep Dakota Kai on this list, like Dakota Kai was on this list and he really wanted to keep her, do you think she would have gotten cut? No.
Well, all of his little pets didn't get fired either.
Right. So
my one counterbalance.
I just hate it. I just hate that they don't just let people live out their contract so that they can plan their life.
I agree with you in that sense, but I also have to say, like, I have very little sympathy for them, because especially if you signed a deal after they released all those people right at the height of COVID and like totally fucked them over, and you've signed a deal since then, like you have no expectation of job security. When this happens, I'm kind of just like, well, you knew what you're getting into. So I'm sorry, it sucks for you, but like my sympathy is like strained. In that sense,
I got a couple of things about the releases that I want to talk about, but to that point, I completely agree with you. And as an aside, like it is a complete and utter joke that we're doing this in 2025 because of that. It's like I said on this show years ago at this point when they were releasing tons of those guys, including Swerve, during the COVID era. It's like if you saw, first off, like if you're like obviously the WWE got real hot since then, but if you're a wrestler, independent scene, or even like AEW, you want to consider switching, it's like, why would you really, like, if you go to the WWE, be smart. Realize like you don't really have job security, even if you think like, oh no, like no. Like no, the only people like you could argue, it's like a handful of people maybe. Like, and by handful I mean like the very top people, like Cody Rhodes. Like if someone in AEW right now, like if Mox was like, oh, my contract's expiring, and like they would be like, Punk, like, does Punk have job security? Like, yeah, he has job security unless he like screws up again. If Mox were like, I want to go back to the WWE, they gave him a contract, they're not going to fire Mox like a year into it. Like, but if you are even like a Ricky Starks, you shouldn't have any job security. Like, think you have job security? Like, they already like screwed up his push. Like, they already made you like, you're not even like the most important guy on NXT, where it's like you should be the most important guy in NXT. And even that's a joke, that it's like they put you in NXT because they don't really view you as like a main roster star right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and what was the old rationale? Oh, they need to go to NXT so they can learn how to work on TV. It's like, you're shitting me, right?
Yeah, your best hope is to be Ethan Page, and to be so unforgettable just to hope they forget you're on the roster and keep paying you. Kind of like Milton from The Office.
Well,
someone like JTG and just don't answer the
phone. Oh, we just fixed the mistake.
Yeah. Someone like Ethan Page or Sean Spears, it's like, well, you're clearly there because most of the male talent in NXT just sucks. So they actually need like veterans who can maybe like handhold some of these clowns into like a semi-decent match. But they shouldn't have any. It's a company that's making they every single time they tell you, oh, we're making record profits, getting up there and being like telling the fans like, hey, you paid the most for this show that you ever have, dummies. You're gonna keep buying it, aren't you? You suck. And people just to thunderous applause. Yeah.
How's like, hey, everybody here, this is our record gate. How's my nuts taste? And everybody's like, good and salty.
Yeah.
And just pat, yeah, look at that. We sold the most. It's like, shut up. You just get, and then those same people will be like, well, look at AEW selling tickets for like $20. It's like, yeah, because
they want people.
Oh no, they didn't bend me over the table and have their way with me just to get like a ticket. I used to go. This has been, obviously I have small kids. It's difficult to travel.
Yeah,
maybe it's a thing of the past. But back in the day, I did a few WrestleManias with like friend of the show Christy Petrillo and friend of the show Damien, with like the Observer Group and everything. Like we get together for Mania, and it's like I was thinking to myself, I don't know if those days are ever going to come back, because it would have cost, if I wanted to go, if I want to take the family to WrestleMania,
Yeah, well,
Like
10
it would have
grand.
cost me. It would have cost me thousands of dollars to get like tickets, hotel, all that jazz. Thousands of dollars. Like, what's the value in that? I'm not gonna do that. Oh, what am
And
I gonna do?
there's
Oh no! Oh no! I only paid like $100 to get really good seats at an AEW show for
yeah,
2 people, me and my wife. Oh
yeah.
no!
I went to it was when they were still doing Rampage, but I went to a show that was Rampage and Battle of the Belts and Ring of Honor. They did all that in one night. I got
Mm,
5 hours of good live wrestling for $40 plus
mm.
Ticketmaster. But it there is no reason to be doing this sort of stuff to people, especially when they're raking in record profits right now. There's no reason to it. There's not a good reason to be doing it. And it pisses me off. And yes, you know you're putting your head in the lion's mouth when you sign with them. You know that that's a possibility. That doesn't make it any less scumbag.
I do have to say, I did laugh because there's these people on like X and stuff, or even on like Reddit. It's like, I can't believe, like, why did they release like someone like Cora Jade's? Like, well, I can tell you why. Because she sucks. She's not getting any better. She's actively getting worse. Like, she's repeatedly failed with her pushes. Like, because there's people like, I can't believe they released this person. I'm like, well, I can, because like, yeah, it sucks, but like some of these people, like, they did the math and realized there is no active way this person is ever going to make them money or get good enough to ever make them money, so they let them go.
Or
No,
Jade. Go ahead, Chad. You go
the
do your thought.
the other thing that gets me is that they are still on their same old tricks. Someone told Alvarez that Riley Osborne got fired for being difficult to work with. Check this out.
Who's Riley Osborne?
This
If
one of the NXT people. He was working in Evolve.
oh, that shit's
He
terrible.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
like,
no, he was pissy. There's something about him being unprofessional, difficult to work with, and about how his wife was releasing that sort of stuff. 3 hours ago was what the timestamp I have on when this was posted. I worked the first set of Evolve tapings the day after my wife was released. When I was told by the head coach on a phone call that night I could have tomorrow off if I needed time with my wife, as we had to pull out of the house that we were 2 weeks from closing on. All I had to do was tell him, yeah, I'd just like a day with her. I was the first person in the building the next day, commented on my professionalism. I will not have my work ethic questioned when I was busting my ass off in rehab to return, and I knew the return would have been on Evolve. Not everything is. They're out there slandering people they fired again.
they
They're
always do
they're
that.
doing that shit again.
Was Danny
And
Palmer?
how insecure do you need to be to then these people? Okay, it didn't work out. You don't want to keep them, but then you're going to turn around and try and torch their livelihood. What the hell is wrong with you?
Was Danny Palmer just on a TNA show?
I don't know.
I think so, actually.
Because I feel like I just saw her name involved with like one of their shows.
I got nothing. NXT, I
think
know
she was.
diddly
I
squat about.
I have like several thoughts. I have two more like big thoughts, but then I actually have a thought that go back to like I have no sympathy. You get what you know what you're getting into. I have a thought about that, but I'll say this about the NXT releases, specifically like the women. Most of them are not good. Like
No.
I wouldn't be like, I'm not saying, oh, you shouldn't have released them, because it's like, oh no, like they're not good. Like Cora Jade, I think, is terrible. I actually do think they really wanted to make something out of her, because
she just kept
physically,
and she got a lot of chances.
she has a look.
She got a lot of
Because
chances.
She did, because I think she has a look that they wanted to market. But she wasn't good, and I will say, like, I almost feel bad for her, because I think she was one out of many, who like destroyed her knee doing their stupid like drills. And they shut it. It happened like after these releases. It was some of the NXT, including her, and I think Gigi Dolan, Priscilla Kelly, were commenting on Twitter, and then that got shut down for some reason. So maybe someone was like, "You need to shut up if you want to maybe have like a chance of getting hired somewhere down the road, back here." But they were basically because the PR went out. It's like, oh, they weren't like a lot of these people were fired because they weren't training hard. They really put in the effort, and those two specifically commented about that, and I think Cora Jade was like, look, I love hearing that when, I'd have to spend all day doing those drills and then go to my own personal gym and do a bunch of like training and everything that it basically implying like that I didn't really get at your training. And that lines up with what things people have said, that the training in general at the Performance Center is garbage. I've heard, which I think I
not
absolutely
enough
believe to be true.
coaches for the people. It's a hug box. They don't really criticize people. I think I've theorized a lot that Shad tends to agree with, that they just have people doing like Hindu squats and bump drills all the time because they don't have
it's
anything
all the
else
time, and it's pointless. Like it's affected her career, and I don't think ever been the same, and probably never will be the same. But Bailey like destroyed her knee, and she just said it. She did an interview where it's like it's still not 100%.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, which I also think is like, she was commenting about how like she got basically pushed off the WrestleMania card, and I'm cynical. It's like, yeah, when that contract runs up, you're gonna re-sign with WWE, and in part that's because like she's
gonna be like almost 40, and like at that point you might as well just take the money and the
and also what are you gonna do? You're gonna try and go and hang with like the girls in AEW
or
where
a
it's like a higher
Joshi
level
promotion, or
that won't happen. But
and especially she, at that point too, you've been there for like over a decade. Like, yeah, you're not going to be top of the card, but you're going to have some clout and pull because you've been there for so long. Like, you're a vet in that company, and like it's an easy paycheck, and they're gonna your merch is going to sell a certain amount. Like, I like from that perspective. Like I've always said, when you get older and you don't want to do the grind, like WWE is where you go, because they'll at least get you like a set amount of money from their like merch pushes and stuff. So I think like like I said, I think that's where I think WWE at this point, like if you're doing the indie grind and you're really successful, like when you don't want to do the grind anymore, that's where you go. Because even in AEW, you still have to do the grind.
Yeah. But I think I've heard the Performance Center basically be described as like a glorified CrossFit, and I can believe that.
CrossFit has so many injuries as part of it.
Exactly. I've heard that said about that as like a criticism, and I think I believe it at this point. But those two I know push back at that, and also Cora Jade made a comment which was very interesting, which I also think has to be true. It's like, really, I guess the culture of the WWE never changed. Not that I ever thought it did, but she basically said like, oh yeah, I loved hearing this in part, not just because like claiming that we didn't train hard, but people saying this, but also I had coaches and everything body shame me and everything, and I could believe that too. Like, I don't think the culture's changed that much. I think that she got a lot of chances. I think they liked her look and wanted to push her a certain way. I mean, when she started in the business, it was like to be a wrestler, and I don't think she's good. No. But they really changed her gimmick into less about the wrestling, more about her aesthetic.
I mean, that was all that was going to work with her. I'm sorry, but and the other thing is like
maybe, but I mean,
the body shaming.
Did she even get a? Good.
I was going to say the body shaming sucks, but I've said this a lot about wrestling, and we even saw it with that Jimmy Valiant interview when he was talking about Brian Christopher. He even brought up his body. Like, you're in a meat industry, like they're gonna comment on your physique and everything a lot. And honestly, like for me, like I wish they'd stop doing that, and like especially the NXT ones, if they honestly just came out and said, hey, look, we tried it with them and they just suck. We don't see them getting any better, so we cut ties with them. I would respect that more than they're difficult to work with if they just said, hey, look, they weren't good.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the quote, I went and ran it down. This is what Alvarez was told. They wanted NXT people to help with Evolved. Riley refused and did not want to go, and he made it very well known. As opposed to They told him he could have the day off, and then he showed up to do the show anyway. Like,
That's some BS that some companies will do. It's not even like obviously the WWE is scummier than usual. But
yeah.
I've seen that in the real world before too. Many years ago, I worked at a law firm, and there was a girl who was like on, I don't know if she was trying to be like, oh, everyone's trying to be partner track, right? But she actually, I think she was getting married or she had just been married, whatever. She asked for like a vacation or a honeymoon. I forget which it was because it's been many years. And I didn't really know this person. I kind of knew them, but I wasn't like friends with them. But she went and like, hey, like getting married, or I need to go on this vacation. Like, can I have like a couple weeks off? Oh yeah, sure. And then afterwards, like she like did it. They approved it. And then I heard some of the other like people in the firm were like, yeah, fuck her. Went on 2 week vacation. She's never gonna make it. And it's like, you approved it. You approved her leave. Like, don't let her go if that's a problem. But it's like, no, they'll do something and then they'll hold it against you. So it's like, oh, like we can give you like the day off if you need like to handle some stuff or you want to be there for your wife. Yeah, man. Like, yeah, man, it's a lot. I really kind of need that. I'll come back tomorrow. Okay, yeah, sure. Fire you. Then you're like, this
Fire you for leaving
asshole.
work.
A fresh asshole. He
you
didn't want to work. He didn't want to come to work. And it's like,
That's
no,
very
that's
Triple
not at all what
H.
happened.
That's a very Triple H thing. He thinks everyone should be working 300 days a year for $50 a night. The way
Hot
he
dog
talks.
and a handshake.
Yeah, that's his philosophy.
The house is a little light, brother.
In $1 billion company, you want a hot dog and handshake people. God.
But can I speak to that? Because that's my other point. I had a point again about to kind of tie up the whole like no sympathy for some of these people. I have sympathy for some of the people who lost their jobs, but about Triple H, and I saw pushback, and thankfully I even saw pushback on this from Dave Meltzer and Sean Ross Sapp, that the amount of people who, the Fed fans, maybe they're all astroturfed online.
A lot of them are, I think.
But it is ridiculous that to the extent that they're not, it's ridiculous that anyone is out there and wants to adopt the mentality. It's like, like, man, like Triple H didn't want this. This is all TKO's doing. Like, he didn't have any part of this. Just shut up.
Yeah.
Like, Triple H is the one who approved all of this because he's the head of creative. He's basically, in many ways, he's the head of the WWE. Like Nick Khan, maybe president. Someone like Ari Emanuel is like head of TKO. Like, he can make some of that. But in terms of like the nitty gritty, like
Ari Emanuel doesn't know.
Do you think Ari Emanuel knows who the fuck Cora Jade is?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
He doesn't.
Like,
no.
Working at a big corporation, so let me compare this to like where I work. So my CEO doesn't know who the fuck I am or what I do. Doesn't know, doesn't care. Like, they might say like to my department, hey, we need to readjust things. Can you cut 2 people? And then that's all they did. That then goes down to the pipeline of my boss, my boss's boss, and probably my boss's boss's boss. So the thing is, like Ari Emanuel might have said, like, hey, can you cut, like, let's say $5 million of talent? Just that's what we want to do. We think maybe like there's going to be a recession, things are going to slow down. Cut $5 million so we can look good for the stockholders. So, like you said, he doesn't know who the hell Cora Jade is. Like, he wouldn't even know who she was if he walked by him. He wouldn't even know like she was a wrestler. Like, so, like, the people doing that are, and like I said, it's Triple H because none of his pets got released.
No, yeah, and he's the one who ultimately
because like Zoe
allowed
Stark.
this.
Zoe Stark is painfully unover and terrible, and she still has a job.
Karrion Kross is still there.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, Bronson Reed. There's others. He just brought in Malachi Black and Rusev.
We got paid for. Yeah, that's also.
Rusev is doing his AEW gimmick.
At the same time, Triple H and other people in the WWE would be like, oh, these like little pissant AEWs, like, and then you feel like shamelessly, you like whole cloth. Like you're not even changing anything.
That's because
Yeah.
Triple H
Like
has no ideas.
even go back to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, like this is AEW Cody Rhodes. It's just him doing all this pageantry and showmanship and stuff like that. That didn't work in AEW. They don't want that shit. But here in WWE, they love it. They love the aura and all that jazz.
He's kind of getting turned on now because for all that time they did with the protecting, they fucked him at Mania because they made him look like a geek.
Yeah.
And well, he was starting to get booed before, because like I said, this whole like that's kind of the problem is like you really got to protect people, and they really botched that with Mania with him, and I don't know what the future is going to look like for him. But but some of these people though, I mean, a lot of these people, like especially like those UK guys, have been there forever, and like
well, Katana Chance. How many years ago did we watch her in the Mae Young?
7 years ago.
I think real name of I think it was like 2018.
Casey Catanzaro.
Yeah. And she wasn't very good then. And now it's like 7 years later, and it's apparently she and the other one, her tag partner, were like on the main roster. It's like I don't know.
They were
I don't
tag
really
team.
watch this shit. I don't know when you brought them up.
No, so what's kind of what some of these are is like they have a glut. They have a glut of female talents. This is what Brian Elver is talking about. But he's like, a lot of these got cut because there's just a million women in NXT. Like there's just too many. Like they have a glut of mediocre talent there. And like I like Priscilla Kelly. Priscilla Kelly seems like a very nice person, but like she wasn't great to begin with, and she hasn't gotten any better in WWE. And I think
let me ask you though, how many matches did she have?
More than
because I don't think I ever.
She was in a tag team.
Really? Because yeah, but I don't know that I ever like really saw that much of her.
Let me see.
Let me say this, like, because we could talk about like who we'd actually sign or AEW should consider signing.
I would take a flyer on Dakota, and I might give Priscilla a look, and everyone else can say no.
I personally, I have a soft spot for her because I've liked her work in the past, including with Stardom. I would maybe consider Dakota Kai. I've heard some people say Jakara Jackson has a lot of possibility. I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched her, but some people are pushing like she should do indies or even like Japan to see if she improves. But I don't know. Beyond that, like I can't really say like I would do this. Some people are pushing Katana Chance and her partner. It's like, oh well, if AEW is serious about doing the women's tag team, it's like I don't think either one of them is good enough that it's like you just signed them just so you could maybe have them in a tag division. It's like the women in AEW. I'm not one of these people who. There's some people who are obsessive. They'll stopwatch how many minutes a week the women get on AEW television.
The women's wrestling fans are insane people. So like
it can be, and I do think the women have a place, especially when you have Toni Storm, who is one of the best characters in all of wrestling and has been for a while.
Yeah.
Like I can appreciate like you should have the women featured because they are valuable. And I've been trying to get more into Joshi feds and stuff and watch their stuff because I think it can be very entertaining and women can do it at a very high level. But the women outside of certain people like Toni Storm or Mercedes, like they may struggle for TV time, and it's like you're gonna give TV time to like Katana Chance, like who's not good just because you may kind of want to shoehorn this like tag division in when you got like a bunch of women. Why don't you? Since you paired them up, like, why don't you get Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, like, push the tag team?
Yeah, do that.
They could be feuding with, like, Thunder Rosa and someone else.
Willow and Statlander as a women's tag team.
It would have made sense.
They don't need these two to come in and do that.
Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Like,
it would have made sense. It would have made sense, like, 3 years ago when they were still needing bodies. But, like, they would be. I mean, they're mediocre by WWE standards. They're going to be and like I would actually say AEW is deeper than them now as far as like talent goes. Like I would say WWE at like the top end is maybe still a little better, but like when you get into like the middle area, I'd say AEW is better. So they were mediocre in WWE. They're going to be mediocre in AEW, and I just don't see. I don't see what the point of signing them is.
I don't think there's a good reason to do it. It's
No.
Like maybe I'd give like Priscilla Kelly a look. But like I mean even like Dakota Kai, like who was the one well, I might I might kick the tires on Shayna, but like the problem with Dakota and Shayna, so Shayna especially is old. Shayna's old.
Dakota, I like Dakota Kai, but Dakota Kai is like mid-30s, which is not
And
old
I think
in the
her
grand scheme of things. But
I think her
I think
knees are made of delicious graham crackers at this point too.
delicious. Yeah, that's the problem. Like when you're in your like mid-30s and you've had like injuries stacked up, then it is like like. But I don't know. I still gotta have a soft spot for Dakota Kai, so I would kind of be like maybe maybe you kick the tire. I can see Shayna Baszler. I think Marina Shafir like posted something because like obviously she's tight with Shayna. Like, but I don't know. I mean, I think Shayna is older. Like I think she's a decent worker, but it's also
She's
like,
got a lot of miles. I don't think she's so she struggled to get over, I think. The send off with Ronda Rousey didn't work. I don't blame her. It was Ronda's fault. But she is like pushing 40. I think she was making a lot of money. I I would give her maybe a shot. Like other Brad said, ROH in the chat. I think I might give her an ROH shot, but like her and Dakota are the only two I think would be, and maybe I'd kick the tires on Priscilla. Those would be like the three I think I would
yeah.
check out.
I think that Shayna would have a spot acting as somebody's heavy. Best of my knowledge, I don't know what happened, but something happened, and we're not going to see Camille back. But in the role that she was doing, acting as a heels, heater or heavy or backup or whatever term you want to use, okay, I could see that. That goes a long way towards covering somebody's shortcomings. There are people who are still insisting that Wardlow was fumbled when it was like, well, Wardlow really worked as MJF's heavy, and then, well, he goes out on his own. It just didn't work.
They screwed his booking up a bit, but like they kind of just hit the. I think they hit the height that he could reach too. On top of that,
I don't think that there's.
They didn't fumble him. Like
No.
I kind of like Wardlow in some respects, but he has like a very low ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. Like I think that they did screw up his booking a bit, but I don't see him as like a guy.
I do.
You're ever gonna be like he's gonna be one of the main stars. He's your Batista. You're gonna push the world title on him.
Yeah.
Like if AEW had never, if they didn't acquire some of the talent that they did, if they were still in like their own weird universe, of like 2019, like maybe could have been like that guy, but no, like, and I've said before, and some people have mocked me for this, but I've said before, like, they signed Big Bill, and Big Bill, they haven't even like done what they really should with him, and I don't know if they will.
I don't think. I think Big Bill is perfect where he is. I think if you start asking more of him, you risk exposing him.
Perhaps, but I think he can do more. Like I don't know if like world title more, but I think he can do more.
I think
he can do more, but he doesn't have to right now. So don't ask him to do more until it's a big thing.
Maybe he doesn't want to because he seems like content. I mean, his wife works there. He's over.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, like them signing him, kind of like that was almost like to me like the nail in the coffin of Wardlow, because it's like this is a guy who's bigger than you and does everything better than you. And I'm not saying that because like you like WWE system. It's like no, he's just bigger than you. He's a better talker than you.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a better worker than you. Maybe not as high flying, but
I think
Yeah,
He's better at the bodyguard, like heater role. Like he's just kind of
I think
surpassed
Wardlow.
Wardlow.
I think
Yeah.
Wardlow at this point, like if I was him, I would consider WWE because there might. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I think he might have a bright future there as like being Miz's next bodyguard. I think, and just kind of maybe repeating the cycle with over there that he did with MJF. But like,
Mhm.
but he's always kind of felt a little more like a WWE talent. Like, but if I was him, I think I would consider that jump more than some of the other people that might do it. I think he would benefit probably the most out of it because I think he is more their type of guy.
Yeah, yeah. But out of these, man, I don't know. I'm not really on board for AEW hiring much.
No,
I mean,
they're
maybe
not.
Dakota. Okay, sure. And then I don't know. How can I best say this? If Riley Osborne got a job being a carpenter for Ring of Honor, and then it's like, oh, he's not hard to get along with, that might be a good rehabilitative move, because it sure as heck ain't gonna happen with TNA now.
If Riley's listening to this, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say, but I'm assuming from his place in WWE that he's not very good, so I wouldn't bother.
I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there because I don't want my whole contribution to go, nah, I'm good.
If I was TNA, I think I'd kick the tires on a couple of them, but I don't see, like a lot of these people don't really have an upside to them. Because like even like Cora Jade, some people are like think she's good. I'm like, if you have Sky Blue, you don't need Cora Jade.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because like they've tried with her, and I would say she's gotten worse over time, but she's gotten her chances. Whereas some of these other people, you might say, well, they never really got a fair chance. Like Cora got a lot more, and like I think even like Priscilla Kelly's kind of getting up there at this point too, age wise.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's under 30 still, right?
She feels like she's been around forever. I would think she's at least like 31 or 32. So I feel like she's been around for like forever. You looking it up?
No. Well, let me look it up real quick.
Oh, let me see. I have her page right here. She had worked like
27.
okay. Yeah, she must have started young. Yeah, she must have. This said she has 10 years in ring, so. I don't know, like I said, like most of that list, I was kind of like, like I'm with Shad on that. I don't think you should release them before their contract's up. But like, if you were to say like, are you surprised any of these people got released? I'd be like, no.
That's a very different question. But
There wasn't someone for that group where I'm like, oh my god, they released so and so. Like they had so much potential. It was kind of just like, yeah, I get that one. Yeah, I get that one. Like Shayna was kind of like, oh, I'm a little surprised by that, but she was old and making a lot of money, so then it made sense.
my takeaway is that none of them surprised me, but it's still a dirtbag thing to do.
Yeah, and even Braun, it was like, yeah, Braun probably makes too much money, and he's sucked since he hurt himself.
And the dude was apparently killing himself to try and get Bronson Reed over. And then it's like, oh, hey, you got him over. Now he's injured. Okay, we're done with you. Bye. And it's just like, oh, God.
And he has a good
Really
angle with
hate
Jacob Fatu. That's been his big accomplishment.
Braun is, to me, unfortunate just because back when I was watching WWE more consistently, at this point years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but like, let me think, 7, 8 years ago,
2017 is when he was at his height because that was where they had that like stupidly good SummerSlam match where he was throwing office furniture at people around the ring.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah, where
but
he and Brock stood the hell out of each other.
Yeah, he got massively over to the point where I went to shows and he was by far either the most like cheered or got the biggest reaction, or he was in like the top 2 or 3.
No,
These were shows that I went to that had like The Undertaker or Stone Cold showed up, and he still had like the top reactions.
Yeah, no, there was like 8 months where he was like stupidly over. Like he was like in that next level of over.
Yeah, and they could have that stupid ass. I don't remember if it was a Mania or SummerSlam or whatever, but he's standing there with his Money in the Bank briefcase. He says, "I'm taking on whoever wins," and Brock wins, and then Brock throws something at Braun, and then just leaves.
That was that was the one after SummerSlam.
And that was just the signal to everybody of just give up on him.
Yeah.
Because just give up.
I hated
don't bother.
I got in a lot of arguments.
It was horse shit.
I got in a lot of arguments about things like we can't put the title on him, like his axe only has like a shelf life. And I'm like, well, fuck yeah, but if it only lasts 6 months, that's 6 months of money you didn't have before, and you just go back to your plans once he's done. Like, I hate people that were like, well, he wasn't in the plans. Like, his act has a shelf life. Well, yeah, he has a shelf life. Like, but you just have him murder hobo people until people stop cheering for it, and then you move on.
Yeah, I know.
It's how you fucked up. It's how they fucked up Goldberg.
Early on in doing this show, I remember because my seat was like right over there with the way my den was laid out. I said that this is a company that is chronically incapable of striking while the iron's hot, and that was like the go-to example. So they couldn't do it. So God, let's get out of this. And
I think that's why.
Let's go to another
topic.
I'm getting mad.
I think that's why they're falling off right now, is because they're paying the price for not striking on several irons the last 2 years.
Yeah. I think they're falling off because Triple H is nowhere near the booker that they make him seem to be.
No, he benefited
like
from
the really great
stuff Vince left him.
Yeah, all the really hot stuff that have endured for the last few years, mainly like the Bloodline, was started by Vince. And again,
Sammy and the Bloodline was planned by Vince. Cody was planned by Vince.
Yes, like it's all stuff that Vince started. I don't think Triple H should get the booking credit. The only credit you can give him, I guess, is like he didn't actively screw it up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's be realistic. I've said it before. It's like if you think that he was meticulously booking this shit, he wasn't. Like this is shit that like Paul Heyman and people involved, like Sammy or Roman, have been like kind of booking. So that's why things are falling off, because like that basically got done. So now what's the new thing? It's like, oh well, it's this new stable they're trying to do with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker.
And like they don't.
Like, I don't think it's going to be as successful.
And how are you in a world where you don't know what to do with Roman? That was like what kind of I took away from Mania, is like, oh shit, they don't know what to do with like Roman now.
No.
After having him be the undefeatable, oh my god, for 3 years, now they have to move him down the card, and they're like, but I don't know how.
Well, Roman also doesn't help himself because he's never there, and he gave some interview recently where it's like, yeah, I think I maybe got like another year or two left in me, and it's like, okay, doing what? Like,
yeah, but you could
showing up like 3 times a year.
Why do they struggle with that? Like, they don't. They got it right with Taker, like doing kind of like, oh, he's the special attraction thing that shows up a couple times a year, which they had that with the Fiend, and then they screwed that up. But like Roman could be the special attraction that shows up like 4 or 5 times a year. Like, I don't understand why that's so difficult for them.
I imagine like that eventually will be like where he transitions. But I did want to make one last point, and we can move on from this. But that I didn't make it when we were talking about it several minutes ago, but the whole like, oh, I don't have sympathy for these people. I argued on the show, like definitely with the COVID releases and everything like that. It's like, yeah, you should not trust this company. If you sign with them, you're dumb if you trust them or think you have job security, because they absolutely will show like at the drop of the hat, they can fire you, and maybe like, you know, you'll get like a 30, 60, 90-day non-compete. Maybe you can still like, you know, get paid or whatever, and then make your next move. But you shouldn't have any job security there. Like they will do really even underhanded shit. Like, remember the thing And she, I feel like, has come back to them and like her or twerks for them too. But Mickey James, and it's like, we're firing you, and here's all your possessions in a garbage bag.
Yeah, she's worked a
And it's
Rumble
only when
or
she-
two since then, hasn't she?
Yeah, and it's only like when they got called out, I think, where they're like, "Oh, this was terrible. This should never happen." It's like you probably didn't give a shit until you got it blew up in your face. But all that said, it's like, should you trust people? No. How do they get away with that? Perfect example: Stephanie Vacker. Stephanie Vacker signed with them, and is a star in NXT. Probably will be a big star in the main roster. But did an interview where she basically said, like, "Oh yeah, like the WWE." After her match with Mercedes last year, Forbidden Door, got offers from AEW to sign with them, offers from WWE to sign with them. Got more money offer, bigger money offer from AEW. Because Tony Khan has shown, like, if he wants you, he will drop cash on you.
Mm-hmm.
Did not sign with them. Said she got the big money offer and cried. Because it's like, oh, but I love the WWE. It's my dream to work there. And so what she wound up doing, took a lesser money offer to work at NXT, which they've established pays less than the main roster.
Yep.
And what has happened in like the year, not even the year since? Oh, the WWE bought AAA that was paying and contracting with one of the people that beat you so badly you almost died, got charged with fucking attempted murder of you, and his little group of people that like stood up for him and was like, she's lying.
Yeah.
Can
Like,
I
that's
give
the disrespect. And they have to bring her out for that press conference.
Yep.
That's how they can get away with it, because unfortunately there's too many people like her. It's like, it's my dream. I love WWE. And it's like, you're dumb.
she is
You're
dumb.
dumb. And I'm
Because
sorry, she's dumb.
she is dumb because
Even if she wants to sign with them, walk in and be like, you know what? I think this will make me a bigger star, so that's why I'm signing with them. I've always wanted to work here. I think it'll make my career bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, this like, sure, I'll take a lesser money offer. I just want to work here. The dream, the moments. I want my WrestleMania moment. Shut up. And not to be, look, I think that wrestling is an art form.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate, like, sometimes you do things for the art. I think Will Ospreay should have signed with AEW. This bullshit at Triple H, like, he ran from the grind. It's like, going to WWE is running from the grind. You can just, like, let me go. Like Penta. Why do you think Penta signed with WWE? He's going to make a shit ton of money on merch, selling replica masks and shit like that, and go work a 3-minute match on Raw, and then fuck off the rest of the week.
yeah, and you
Like
know
that,
what?
it's his dream job.
And let's be honest, he's fucking smart for doing it.
Yeah. He's like 40. It's like, yeah, I'm going to coast like the rest. I'm set.
Yeah, that's
Like-
why she's dumb, because this is the thing. I'm gonna give free career advice to every wrestler. You can even hit me up on Twitter, and I will agent for you. Okay, so let's give this free career advice. You have a limited, and this is for all athletes actually. Take the fucking money, like WWE will be there in a year, and honestly, they treat you better when you tell them no.
That's true, but they also don't take the money because they don't. These companies, Tony Khan actually kind of, I think, does. But regardless, it's like they don't give a shit about you. Don't act like the company. But the company,
No, but even Tony
stop.
Khan,
Even like the people.
even Tony
Triple
Khan
H
though,
didn't want to fire me. He let you go.
But even Tony Khan though, if AEW and WWE come a call and WWE's like, here's an extra $50,000, dumb fuck, take the WWE deal or go to Tony Khan and say, hey, can you turn that 50 into an extra? Can you turn that 50 into 70? Like that's my problem with a lot of these wrestlers is you have two companies, you leverage them as much as you can. Like Randy Orton.
Yes.
Randy Orton, who is a smart person, you know what he did when his contract came up? He started saying all this nice stuff about AEW and started kicking the tires so that he could go in there and be like, "Hey, look, they're wooing me a bit." Like that's what you do. Like you need to play the game. Like this, it's my dream stuff. It's like no, like dreams don't pay the bills, and
It's my dream. It makes you into a sucker. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, Stephanie Backer is a sucker.
Because she gave
And
that interview, and WWE was like, "Oop, just chop about $100,000 off that deal because we got a mark right
He'll
there."
say
she's
yes.
a mark. She is a total mark.
She'll
And
just say
a
yes
person,
to whatever we offer.
a person who looks like she's edging the same way is Mariah May. Hopefully, she's not that dumb. That
I
if
think
even
she
if
is
she goes to
smarter about it
WWE,
though, because she.
even if she, let's say if she does go to WWE, I hope she like rings them for some shekels, and maybe tries to work like on NXT. Fuck you, I'm main roster.
See, other Brad in the chat says it perfectly. I think she's dumb for going to WWE, but she's playing it perfectly to get the most money. That's what I agree with. She went to AEW. She showed WWE she can do it. So they have to give her like, they have to genuinely like make a competitive offer for her, and she's played it right. Like what Stephanie did. Like you don't go like you don't do that like. If you're in a real life interview, you don't go to a company and say, "Oh, it's my dream to work here," because they're going to be like, "Oh, we don't have to offer you top dollar." No, you go in there and be like,
Yeah,
you're going to be like, "Well, you have a nice company, but like I expect this and this," and you bring them dry, like because there's, I don't know, even with Tony Khan. Tony Khan is still a businessman. You owe your loyalty to yourself first and foremost. Like Tony Khan's not the one taking the bumps. That's why you get every cent that you can wring out of either company. And you're in an especially privileged position where you can ring these companies for extra money. And like I said, with Penta, like I mean, he's not going to get the best push in WWE, but like he was smart because he doesn't have to work hard anymore.
Yeah. But that was kind of the point I was getting at, is that I do view wrestling as an art form. I think that because of that, there are other considerations. It's like if you're someone like Will Ospreay, it's like, you know what? He's different because he's like a top star. If you're someone who's lower, can't necessarily pull that. But if someone like Will Ospreay, it's like, you know, this guy, Tony Khan, will pay me a good amount of money, and I could still have the crazy matches that I want to have, high level matches, and he'll also let me do matches like around the world. Sounds like a good, and he'll let me like be sympathetic towards my personal situation where he's traveling back and forth like on a weekly basis back to his family in Britain. And you know that guy is going to get the world title at some point. He's going to be pushed as like the main star at some point. So for someone like him, it's like he can get the best of both worlds, but he can also like, he can be like, I'm still going to get paid. I can appreciate, and I can push like the artistic vision that I want by signing with this company. But generally speaking, I agree, Brad. It's like you got to have a little bit of the Kevin Nash. It's like
money in the miles.
Business. Like, what are you going to be a mark for yourself? Like, come on, it's all fucking fake. Like you got to. It's a business, so it's like extract the amount of money that you can from these companies, because these companies don't care about you. Tony Khan seems on a personal level to care about people, but he's also running a business. So it's like
at some point, as a businessman, you have to.
There's going to be nut cutting time sooner or later.
Yeah, and at some point you have to pick. Like if you're running a business, you might care about people on the individual, but sometimes the individual has to be cut loose to save the collective with a business. So, like that's just the reality of it.
The thing that I got at, we also, because we're neck deep in this stuff, we're aware of a bunch of other things that go with it, and it's like just being the sap that's like, oh, it's always been my dream to work here. It's like, don't do that. And you may not get, like, AEW doesn't just pay you more, but they also cover your travel. So not only are you not having to pay for that, but that's a huge mental weight off of you. But if you're just like, oh, I've always wanted to work here because I always wanted to be on Mania, I'm sorry, we've talked it to death. We should move to something else.
We're also middle-aged men that are established in life, and we understand, like, I mean, I think Stephanie's still young and naive, but like we're middle-aged men, and we understand the difference of what a dream is versus paying your bills and being like.
Look, if I was still active and I had an option, I would not be signing with the E, just because the other side that comes with it is you've got to be okay with your workplace too. And just from so much that I've seen and heard and stuff, I don't want to work there. I don't want to be part of that. Would they offer to pay me more for it? Would I consider it? Yeah, but it'd have to be a beast of an offer.
I mean, if they came through and said like, "Hey, do you want to sign a 3-year deal for 500,000 a year?" I'd be doing like, "Okay, well, I hate it there, but it's only 3 years. Like, I think I can make that work."
And then it'd be like, "Can I get that in writing?" Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey Tony, I just got this offer.
I just say like I like this came up with I think the Michigan AD or something recently where people didn't understand, but like I'm saying like I like the place I work, I like the company I work for a lot. If someone came along and said, "Hey, do you want to do that same job and we'll double your pay?" I'll be like, "Fuck yeah, sign me the hell up!" Like that's the thing. Like I love the company I work for, but like, you want to double my pay? Okay, like. I'm
gonna have some questions.
Yeah, but like,
you have my interest.
Yeah, like that. That's the thing. Like, I'm very loyal and I like my company, but money's money.
I tell people all the time when I do my job class, I say, everywhere talks about loyalty. I say loyalty is earned, and if they don't give you loyalty, don't give it back. But if they take care of you, okay, that's fine.
I mean,
anyway, let's
they've
pivot
earned
to something
loyalty,
else.
But it's just there's a price, and
I'm just saying, don't give it away for free.
Yeah.
Let's pivot to something else.
Let's talk about Free Comic Book Day.
Free Comic Book Day.
So we all went. The place I went had like a limit of 3, so I'll just show off my goodies here. So I know it'll be backwards, but I got the Godzilla one, and then I got the 2000 AD one, and then I got the Mega Man one. They did not have the Energon Universe one, which made me very sad, and they did not have the Conan one, which made me very sad.
I will be right back while I go grab mine.
So I went to a place locally called Crazy Comics, which was a very...
Was this the one you...
Yeah, they didn't get it. Someone asked about it, and he was like, well, they didn't give us our...
Well, you had said that, so I got an extra
nice.
copy for you.
Nice.
So I will send this to you at some point.
So there's
mine. You only had... Hold on, yours only had a limit of 3?
Yeah.
That's worse than mine. Mine had a limit of 5. So...
But like the place I went to had like a raffle and stuff, and you could go to the pizza place next door and you got a discount and stuff. Like they did some stuff, but I think they were just trying to make sure people had stuff to get.
I went at like 4:30 in the afternoon, so there was stuff that I'm sure probably was already taken. So I didn't even see some of the stuff that you just saw, but
I don't think every place got everything.
I got 2 of the Energon Universe, one for me, one for you. Mm-hmm. I'll send this to you at some point. And what else did I get? Oh, I got Amazing Spider-Man Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, I'm interested in that because they actually have him with Mary Jane supposedly, and Jonathan Hickman's writing it, who's really good. So
okay, I got Gargoyles Demona because I'm
I saw that one
fan.
I thought you were gonna get that one when I saw it.
Yeah. And then I got Fantastic Four, since obviously Fantastic Four will be...
the new one's not very good, but...
Well...
Has that been the first time you've been in a shop in quite a while? Because I know you haven't bought anything in
quite a while. Because I used to... I think I've talked about that on the show before. I used to collect every month, and it got to be like a lot of titles every month.
Yeah, me too.
And it just became too much money, and I didn't have the space for it. And this was years ago, like
they're even worse,
like a decade ago, and so or more. And so it is way more expensive now. I don't have the space.
Some are like, if you go to Image, they finally, like, I get a lot of the Spawn title stuff, but like they're finally upping their price to $3.99 from $2.99, but they kept it that way for a long time. But they've been pressuring Todd to up the price on those for like a long time now. And then but yeah, like a lot of stuff's $5 now, and especially like with Marvel, If it's like a special issue, it's like $10, which is just ridiculous.
Well, you shared in the show before that that manga is basically just eating their lunch and has been for like years at this point. But
Yeah, probably
like,
closer
why
to a decade now.
if I was young, a kid and all that, it's like obviously manga and anime is like real big, but what's the value for your money? Let's say you got $10 like in your pocket, like you're like you want to buy like some stuff. It's like, do I use that $10 to maybe get 2 issues of a comic book series, or 2 comic book series, like but just 2 issues, or do I get like 3, 4, 5 like manga? It's like,
Well, and the other thing is like
do the math. Like you get to buy that stuff.
The other thing though, and why manga wins is like more subject matter. But let's say Shad a week from now says like, "Hey, I'm kind of interested in One Piece. Where do I start?" I'm like, "Okay, go buy One Piece Volume 1 and just go sequentially forward." So it's easy. He just goes and gets, or I say go get the Shonen Jump app for your tablet. It's $2.99 a month. They're all on there. But it's just, oh yeah, you just get Volume 1, and then that's it. You just keep getting each new volume. There's no crossovers. It doesn't like get reset. Like if someone came to, like if Shad came and said like, well, where should I start with Spider-Man? And that's just like, ooh, like,
that's a good question.
Yeah.
I have because they did a massive like Black Friday sale this past Black Friday. I got a subscription to it's Marvel Unlimited is what they call it now, but the digital Marvel where you can watch, like you can read like comics. I bought it, and I think I paid. Did I pay even like $60, or was
it's
it
like
less
70? It's like $70 for a standard year. So
I actually think it was like
probably 50.
I think I paid like $50 for like a year, because it was on Black Friday, and I've read some of it. I haven't read enough. Like I read it, but it's also like I may go for like, a couple of weeks not reading it. It's like, oh, I gotta get back on it. But one of my goals is like to read through like a bunch of old Spider-Man. But I can't even tell you, like, I don't know if it's like, where do I start reading it right now, like contemporaneously, modern? Like I wouldn't even try. I'm gonna try. I will this year, let's say at some point, I put that goal for myself, like try and read some old Spider-Man. But I may start at like Spider-Man like 500, 600.
The problem with
going
current
back
Spider-Man
like
is
10, 15 years.
The problem with current Spider-Man, and I'm not even joking, the writers and the fans hate each other. And the writers are intentionally doing stuff to antagonize the fans. Like there's this guy, I think his name's Paul. And he's like dating Mary Jane. And the fans like fucking hate him.
Oh, I hate him.
Yeah.
I know a limited amount, and just the premise, I'm like, why would you do that? Except you absolutely want to piss off the fans.
No, it is because what happened is so Nick Spencer. I won't go into the quality of things, right? He was kind of starting to put them back together, and then they came around with Zeb Wells, I think, who wrote the last one, because Joe Kelly's writing it now. And I don't know if that runs any good or anything, but I think they're talking about putting him back in high school, which is stupid. I hate when people talk about putting him in high school. He graduated within the first 28 issues. Like he was out of high school by like 66. But so he pulled him apart and did this storyline where you had to find out what happened, and it took years. But then they introduced this Paul guy, and he's essentially cucking Peter. And the fans hate him, and I hate him too. But like, I mean, you get like fantasies of like killing him, of making him like the big bad guy and stuff. And I don't know if he's still around, but I swear to God, they were doing it for no other reason than to piss off the fans.
That's my take on it. And
he's
like
Poochie on steroids.
Yes, but what I've also seen of him, and look, I'm going to preface this by saying, I don't like the current political climate. I'm not a MAGA person. I'm not anything like that. But it's like, I don't know what was going on, but it's like they made Paul, he is cucking Peter. And it's also like, you also write Paul to be like, if you look in the dictionary, he's like the stereotypical, like ultra liberal soy boy. Like,
Yeah.
you might as well just be eating tofu for dinner and it's like,
Yeah, it's a cringe word, but he's
what
like
is this
such a
shit?
he's a beta bitch.
It's like, okay, you're cucking Peter out. Peter's like the hero. He's Amazing Spider-Man. He's the hero. He has been for like how many, 60 years at this point? 65. And you're cucking him out to like
You got like
no one would why would I have any respect for this guy? He's not even like a manly guy like jacked to the gills, like I'm going to the gym. Like
if you showed this guy if you showed this guy to the chuddiest chud and like was like it like asked them to write a parody and you showed them Paul, I'd be like, no, I couldn't do that. That's too ridiculous. Like that's how bad it is.
If you want to have a story where we keep one more day as canon, and then you're like, okay, Mary Jane's having another relationship. Do you know what you do with that? You just make the other guy a good dude. Just make him a good dude. Make him a nice guy. Make it so that even Peter likes him and gets along with him. He's just like,
well, yeah.
I really wish.
But Shad, okay, I have a question for you though, and this is where I'm going to trip you up. How do you own the chuds if you do that?
What? Who cares?
They do.
That's the thing.
That's the problem, though. That's the problem, though. They're doing it because they think they're pissing off like this chud, like angry, like conservative audience that they have. Like
you just
and that's, as an aside, like that's the problem with the current climate, is that now that the power has shifted the other way, it's the reverse of that too. It's like everything is like, oh, this piss you off, liberals, you're gonna cry more, and it's like, it's some stuff that's also like, this is dumb and stupid and needlessly cruel sometimes, because it's like, oh, I'm owning the liberals, aren't I? It's like not to take like the real world, like people have in the real world right now, there's a woman who threw up a GoFundMe and tens of thousands of dollars or even hundreds of thousands have been funded into the GoFundMe. And she's like, I'm being attacked, cancel culture. And it's like, well, why are you being attacked? And it's like, she called like a 5-year-old child the N-word.
Oof.
Because like this like kid was like accosting her kid at a park. And it's like, look, I'm a parent of small kids. It's like, yeah, some kids are dicks. But it's like, you called another kid, a 5-year-old kid, like the N-word. You know, and she's alleged she didn't
so
do
bad
that.
We have to refer to it.
She's
by
alleged
the first
she didn't do that.
word.
She's alleged she didn't do that, but that's like the accusation, right? But it's like she's making like literally like all this money. It's like they're saying I did the cancel culture. I'm fearful of my life, and it's like it just seems like a grift. But all that backs like okay, whatever. You can be like, this is crazy, whatever. But then now conservative commentators like Matt Walsh is like, oh, we need to stand up for this woman to oppose cancel culture. And it's like, we are so off the rails. Like this woman, if you believe it, called a child the N-word. And you're like, we got to defend her to make the liberals cry. And it's like, oh my God. We've gone off the rails. We've gone off the rails as society.
I can't handle it on either side, because then you get that, which I hate. But then you get the other side where they're like, oh, well, like, really, like, we're going to defend pedophiles to, like, own the right. And it's like, oh, my God, like, what has become of, like, our, like, yeah.
The fringes are the ones that everybody hears because they scream the loudest. And the thing is, nobody cares.
The problem is, though, I think the problem is if you're in, like, the political sphere online, you have to go more and more extreme to, like, keep the grift going.
Yeah.
But turning it back to
a 24-hour news cycle, you have to fill it with stuff and people pay attention to you.
And like, yeah, like because there's a lot of like where I lean. Like, there's people I know that I felt at one point were reasonable, and you just see them kind of like tilting further and further out because they have to like adjust to the. Like, I'll use Ben Shapiro as a great example. Ben Shapiro 10 years ago, if you listen to him talk and stuff, I was like, oh, okay. Like he's not like kooky bananas, but like because of the political climate now you hear him, you're just like, wow, you fucking I think you lost the plot about 5 years ago. But
That's to bring it back to wrestling. That's the Jim Cornette scenario. It's like, oh, you found like, like the niche likes me like trending this direction. It's like then all of a sudden it becomes like you're just shitting on
just hate everything.
You're making gay jokes about Kenny Omega and Young Bucks. You know, you're hating on like Joshi's. You're like, it's become transphobic and all sorts of crap. And it's like
you just hate on everything. People love it.
Yeah, it's like if this started as a gimmick and to you as a gimmick, it stopped being a gimmick. Or it's really toxic, so it's like it's not good either way. But to bring it back to Spider-Man, I agree. Like Paul is like, oh,
we're owning the
you like
chuds.
This chuds, we're making fun of you. And it's like, okay, even if that's your goal, the end result is that you're basically cucking out Peter Parker, who's the hero of your story and has never been presented as like, you know, the ultra right-wing MAGA chud that you're supposed to be like screwing over. And it's like, but he's the one getting screwed over narratively.
You know what's funny though?
Because of all this. And it's just so dumb. It's like, why there it's been how many like years at this point where it's like, oh, we can't have Peter and Mary Jane together.
It's
why?
It's getting close to 20 years now. But you know what's funny about Paul?
Yes,
though?
but Mary Jane has been an integral part of that for like 50 years, 60 years.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
You know what's funny though about Paul though is so a big defense that like the Heidi McDonald's and like that sphere of like comic, that sphere of the comic has always been like, oh, you're just complaining because you don't like women and minorities, and now you can just be like, oh yeah, well look at this straight white man that like everyone like hates more than anything I've ever seen before. So your narrative does not work anymore because Paul exists. But but like they like there's one book written by Joe Kelly who I actually like, and I thought about it and I'm like, oh fuck, Paul's probably in it, and I just didn't buy it.
Here's where I'm at with this whole thing is I do not understand why you want to structure your entire business plan around alienating potential customers.
I honestly don't.
That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I do not understand it.
Because
I think there's multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Okay, a couple reasons. One, they're trying to appeal to an audience that doesn't exist. That's number one. They think there is this wide swath of women and minorities that are somehow gate kept out of it. The modern audiences will call it, which they talk about a lot. And the problem that they have with that is when I go to the shop, there aren't a lot of women, but there are a lot of there is diversity there, just not as much as you think. But the people like you already have, like the women that already read, want the old stuff. And the other problem is they listen to Twitter too much. That's mistake number 2 you make as a company. Never listen to social media because they have very loud ideas that your paying customers will hate. And then
it's a bubble.
And the third reason is, especially at Marvel, DC's kind of correcting ship a little bit. They don't pay shit no more. So you're not getting good writers.
No, you are, and this has been the way for years now. I feel it's gotten worse, but you are getting that basically like was the equivalent of like or actually were from like Tumblr. So you're paying them like not even like a living wage, and you could be like, this is like the writer or the artist for, you know, some book, Iceman or something, Miss Marvel, whatever, and you're practically not paying them a living wage to do a book that you're publishing. But you can get away with it because it's also like the book that you're having them publish. It's not like X-Men, whatever, Avengers.
They're getting
Spider-Man.
exposure,
and people are surprised.
You're paying them like $100, whatever. But the title's selling like 10,000.
Yeah, and people are surprised. Like Eric July gets like name artists and stuff, and people have asked me, like, because I pay him better than DC or Marvel does. And like, because people think it's a fortune, like, no, he's probably paying them better than like $100 a page. He's probably paying them like $500 a page or something. He's paying them closer to what they're worth, so they're willing to work with him.
Yeah, I agree with you though. I think it's multiple reasons, but I think primarily the reasons you just said. There are people who are in a bubble, and the bubble may be like they want to basically reach to their people in their own like socioeconomic bubble, but you're not making a book just for them. If you want to, you can self-publish your own stuff and just market it to them.
Yeah.
But for a mainstream book, you have to try and market it to the mainstream. You can push like a little bit with themes or whatever, but this is mainstream. It when you were saying that, Brad, it reminded me of like this last season or two. When they brought on the new Doctor Who.
Oh, it's so bad.
And he did a big publishing thing, like not publishing, but I mean like the publicity stuff before, where he's like, yeah, like, because I guess the actor himself is minority, he's African.
He's so bad.
And I think queer in real life. And he gave like in the publicity, like the promo and everything, he's like, yeah, this is like this Doctor Who is like, isn't for everyone, like.
He's so bad.
Like, it's not for you. If you're like straight and white, it's not for you. And then the ratings like tanked.
Well, he's bad. He's
and
not
then
like.
They had to,
have you seen?
I haven't seen it, but
so if you see promotion, you just have to watch him for like 30 seconds, and the first reaction you have to him is like, "That's not the Doctor." Like he has no like gravitas, or anything, and like the first thing you're just like, "That's not the Doctor." Like, because I had a lot of problems with like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor and how she portrayed it. But like you at least were willing to give her like a couple episodes, and then you were just kind of like, I'm not really feeling this. But like you see him for like 5 seconds, you're like, no, that's not the Doctor.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen.
It's real bad.
Like really much of anything over the last few years of Doctor Who.
It's all bad
because I don't have so much time in my life, and I had to prioritize other stuff.
It's so bad. He
gave an interview who basically said like, yeah, if you're like straight white, like whatever, this isn't for you. And then ratings like tanked because people are like, oh, like the mainstream is like, oh, I guess it's not for me, so I won't watch. And I think they tried to do damage control. It's like, no. It's like, no, watch. It's like, I'm not trying to make an editorial comment. I'm just, other than the fact that it's like, you can't be too niche for your audience and then also antagonize people and be like, screw most of you. This is not for you.
My favorite
and then
is
expect like reap the dividends. So bringing it back again to
my favorite
Spider-Man,
though
is you can't be like, let me introduce a character to piss off most of the audience. It's like, what's the point of this?
My favorite thing with that is like, oh, straight white men stay away. It's like, okay, and it's like, why didn't you watch this? It's your fault it failed. It's like, you told me not to watch it.
Stay away. Yeah.
Like I didn't go where I was told I wasn't welcome. Like.
I wanted to watch. You said it was not for me.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Who got a big bump from having David Tennant and Matt Smith. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
As the Doctors for a stretch.
Christopher
and it brought in a whole bunch of
helped with that.
Brought in a whole bunch of new fans who were younger women who really enjoyed it. And then you're going to turn and look at that and be and not play to the demographic, and they're not going to come back.
Can we talk about the dirty little secret of why it got popular? Because women like to pretend that they were the companion with the hot young doctor.
Yeah.
And that's why the ratings, when they put an old man in there, it fell off. And then when you put a woman in there, it fell even harder. And then when you put a gay man in there, it fell even harder, because it got popular because women wanted to pretend they were fucking the Doctor and the TARDIS. I'm not to be crass about it, but that's why it got popular, and they've continually fucked it up because they don't don't play to that.
Here, as a wrestling tie-in, this is something that I heard about. Not a shocker. I first heard about it from the Trish and Sarah podcast, and then went digging around a little bit more, but. What drove a whole bunch of like increases in watching in US and Japanese wrestling was women getting into it. And it's like, okay, so play to them. Don't run them off. Play to the people that like your stuff. Don't have contempt for your fucking audience.
Well, that's also the other dirty little secret that people don't talk about with wrestling is women don't like women's wrestling. They want to see half-naked men rolling around together. Like, that's not true of everyone, but that is, like, when WWE was pushing women's wrestling really hard, like, I don't know, in, like, 2017 or something, they lost a massive amount of their female audience because, like, and I mean, if you listen to, like, old school Southern promoters and stuff, that's where, like, the blowjob team came from. Because it was that you use the pretty boys to draw on the women because then the men will follow the women to your shows because that makes it the happening spot.
Yeah.
Brad, to your point, Dynamite, this last show, what got like the biggest ratings pop of the episode? Hangman Page versus Kyle Fletcher. Because the women like, well, they may like Kyle Fletcher, but they certainly like Hangman Page. Like, you know,
and you know when
the mustache, all that.
You know when you watch
Like-
women, when you watch Japanese wrestling, do you know where you see all the women at? They're at Dragon Gate shows because that's pretty boys in masks doing athletic
and
stuff. You don't see like Joshi shows.
I wouldn't.
Joshi shows used to be all women because only women were allowed in, but Joshi shows are mostly men now, more so than even like New Japan. Like the women are at the pretty boy Dragon Gate shows.
I think that when Takeshita's contract runs out, New Japan's going to run to hire him and push him to the top of the card because women love Takeshita.
He already has some sort of New Japan contract.
He does.
I don't know what the specifics are of it, but I imagine I'd be shocked if Tony Khan doesn't try and sign him to some sort of continued
Just take the
contract.
current deal and then flip it so that he's primarily New Japan, but he does AEW stuff with it. Do it that way. Both sides would be happy.
You are correct though, because that guy, like, when that guy commits back to Japan on more of a full-time basis, like that guy will be made in Japan. Like, and by that I mean, is he? Let me look it up. I don't even know if he's like 30 yet.
I think he's like 26.
Like I saw a clip from him. Go ahead. Yeah, I saw a clip from Takeshita at a New Japan show, and you could hear the women screaming for him, and it's just like, dude is set.
You don't hear that at shows anymore like you did the 80s because they've lost that element. Like, I mean, that's why, like, I mean, I know the joke about how homoerotic, like, the 80s, like, vignettes are. It's like, that's because it's for women.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Matt?
He turns 30 on the 29th of this month.
Oh, okay.
Still incredibly young. I don't see a scenario where in the next, and this is like going long, it's going to be probably sooner than that, but in the next 5 years, I don't see a scenario where he's not IWGP champion and probably has a really good run with the belt. Like, I don't see a stretch.
I think the problem they're going to have is, like, AEW. I think AEW is going to keep throwing money at him because, like, he's really, like, rounding his game out, and I think he's, like, if you were to say, like, what the 4 pillars of AEW are right now, I would say it's Ospreay, Omega, Takeshita, and Swerve. And Page would be like a fifth pillar, but like he's
Al
getting
Fletcher
into,
is like edging up there too. Like he's
he
incredibly
is.
stuck with this game.
But this was a long form way to say fuck Paul.
Yeah.
But it's terrible, like, because like I said, like I even like Joe Kelly's writing, and I was like, oh god, Paul's in it, and I just ran away.
So it's I'm waiting on the day. We had brought up Hangman. He's in the spot where he's not doing the scruffy beard now. He's doing the Magnum TA mustache stuff. I'm waiting for the day because Hangman seems to get a kick out of sprinkling innuendo into stuff. I'm waiting for the day Mustache Ride makes it into one of his promos.
Oh, God.
I don't know how, but I'm going to laugh my balls off.
Oh, did you grab your book, Shad?
Well, I went to go... Here's what happened. I went to go do an event. Charity group that I'm part of, they got a call. Comic store asked for costumed characters to show up for comic book day at the store. Out of the 5 books, because that was the limit there, 5 books, 4 of them I got for my kids. So there was a Dr. Seuss
I saw that one, yeah.
comic.
It was very cute.
There was a Spidey and Friends, so it's the younger Spidey kind of thing comic.
There was a Jedi one, like a young Jedi one.
Yeah, piss on that. There was a Minecraft comic.
I didn't see that one, but I think I knew about it.
And then there was a Superman comic that I got for them as well. And then I don't know if it was supposed to be a free comic, but it was on the racks with the free comics. So I got this.
Oh, interesting. Is that a number 1?
It's not even a number.
Open the pages up. I want to see what the art looks like. I wonder if that's on their app.
Hang on just a second. Let me go. Here. That is the Orange Cassidy splash.
Is there like a story in it, or is it just kind of like...
So it's the 5 people, 1, 2, 3, the 6 people on the cover. It's like little mini origin stories for each one of them.
Give me 1 second. I just want to look.
It's the first one is Swerve. Let's see, and this is before Swerve's his thing kind of firmed up, because it starts with the phrase House of Strickland. And it's like, weren't quite there yet. But it's got that. This is what the Tony Storm 2-pager looks like.
Oh, I love this in black and white parts.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Here.
I skip over the Britt Baker one because, let's see. Okay. This is what the Osprey one. They're very comicized versions of fictional origin stories for them. And then my favorite is the Orange Cassidy one, because the gist of the Orange Cassidy. Oh wait! Check this out, Matt. You'll like this. This is the Darby one.
Oh, it's on the.
He had to get a mentor. He had to get a mentor.
It's on the DC app.
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And so, like, the Orange Cassidy one is, he's just walking down the road going wherever, and he finds the backpack and he looks inside and it's got the aviators.
Oh, God.
And with the aviators, that kind of gives him the focus.
God, they gave it to Steve Orlando. Now,
look at that right there, though. That is an awesome Cassidy rendering right there.
Steve Orlando. Bleh. Not a good rendering.
Whatever, man. I'm tickled by this.
I'll see if they do more issues of it, but it's on their app, so I should have realized DC put that out.
Just in general, like Orange Cassidy, to me, like the best AEW lore of Orange Cassidy is that, of course, he's like, the king of sloth style, like lazy, and then in the run up to, like, or maybe right after he won the international title, he just, like, they flipped it, and it's like such a subtle thing, but it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Where he just, in terms of like his actual work in the ring, he's like, he just did a promo backstage, just like, all right, fine, I'll try now. And then it's like, ever since then, it's been all awesome. Gas, no break.
Dude.
Like, because in real life, the guy is a fucking amazing. Oh wow! Oh my God!
I know. I was just flipping. I'm like,
Jet Jaguar.
Jet Jaguar.
What is that? Wait, what is that from? What was that one?
That's the Godzilla free comic book.
God damn it! I wanted that one. They didn't have that one at.
Oh, that sucks.
They didn't have that one at my store. Yeah, I would have probably got that.
If I run across it, I'll grab one for you.
If you get it for free. But
if you get on, a lot of those, if you go on Kindle, a lot of those will be digital too, so you can check it out.
Okay.
So what was the Fire Pro subject we wanted to?
That might end up being deeper than we really got time for tonight, because we could go into, like, how the engine works or options or that sort of stuff. It is a complex setup.
Yeah, because I think when you were starting, I kind of discuss some things like the KOs with you and stuff.
Yeah.
And what was the one we were looking at that we were trying to figure out why the KO happened? Was it the butt bump that like knocked someone out and we couldn't figure out how it happened?
Well, it was weird that it happened because technically a critical can happen for almost any kind of move, but it was marked as a signature. And the setting I have is that only signatures and finishers can KO. So apparently, the game was just Jones into KO that night and used what we call the pink eye just for a knockout.
But
it was so weird.
KO's an interesting aspect of that game because I've always found like guys like Stan Hansen and Vader and like Steve Williams, if you get like a template for them, they tend to be a little overpowered because their moveset tends to KO a lot, which kind of makes like Vader especially I feel in those games is like a little too strong because he can KO people so easy.
Here's the biggest thing that I have a hard time with is getting it so that people will either use their signatures or finishes or they go for a damn pin. I know in the CPU logic you can say, after this move, go for a pin. Guess what they don't do sometimes?
It's annoying.
Yeah.
I think the problem I've had a lot with the logic, World seems pretty good about not doing this, where like you can just not get certain characters to ever go for their like finisher. Ever.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot. Like my build, what I did is I was like, oh, I need something to set me apart. And the problem is the moveset that I used does not work in Fire Pro. If I put that on my guy in Fire Pro, it is so spread out that I would be blown up all the time. Like my character would be out of breath all the time. It's just like, God. So I was like, all right, I will be Lariat Man. I'm just gonna be Lariat Man. How's that sound? And you know what he doesn't do? Doesn't use the finisher version of his Lariat much.
Well, you had a match on stream that it was a guy versus a jobber that just would not end, didn't you? And I told you to put time limits on
it went
those.
for an in-game hour. It went for an in-game hour because the jobber would not do pins. And then the guy, it was supposed to be his debut match. Every time he would go for a pin, he would only do it when they were like right up in the ropes.
Oh, that's
and
the
I was
worst.
like, what the hell is going on here?
It turned into an impromptu Iron Man match.
Yeah.
I played it off on the commentary as this guy just kept beating the hell out of this jobber. And so
for an hour.
Yeah. Well, because I was like, okay, I needed him to have a cool finish. I had just gone on the Steam Workshop and found a Scott Norton power bomb asset to use. I was like, oh, this is really cool. The animation on it's really good. And he would power bomb him like right next to the ropes. And so when he goes for the pin, the dude's feet are like hanging out of the ring. He's so close there.
The worst is when you forget to set a time limit for a sim, and then anytime you forget, they always make you pay for like not putting a 10 or 30-minute limit on there. It's all like, especially tags can get brutal.
Yeah. I set it for I said my default is 20 minutes. Because it's like, no, we're not. We're not doing this.
I usually do 30 because tags, that's usually a safe amount of time. Like if it's like a straight up jobber that should die easy, I'll put 10 minutes. And then title matches I'll do 60, but
now the other thing I've noticed is that the AI acts very differently when there's actually a title on the line. Like if it is a title match, the AI acts super differently. You could have a build where, and it just happens sometimes, somebody's just got a guy's number and you sim 7 matches and he wins all 7 and the guy he's beaten up is the champion, and then you make it a title match and the champ just cleans his plow. And it's like I know that's the point. Like, you're not it's supposed to be a surprise, and that, but
It's
I don't
hard
know.
booking. It's hard booking. Like I have that trouble in like the Phil Singer system is like, especially when you have like a dominant champion and then like the next guy that's like really the only guy that can beat him can't get over that
Yeah.
hump. It gets really tough to it's really tough to like deal with that on a championship level, especially if like, because I've had that before where like you have your champion and then you have like the next like and he wins all of his matches and then the next guy below him beats everyone else but he can't beat the champion, so you get into this situation where it's kind of like, oh well, he kind of earned his way back into like the title picture again. Sometimes I just like stop booking them or put them in like a side feud where it doesn't like I don't have to have them challenge, but that's annoying, especially when you kind of get your booking gets stun locked because of it.
Yeah, I remember way back when you had done a Dark House or a Dark Match episode, and one of the guys you had on, you had someone, I think the guy who made Go Fight Pal, and then another guy who'd been real active for. And one of the guys was like, so what he did is he would sim all, he would do rolls for all the matches, and then he would go back and book everything around the results.
Yeah.
And apparently people got pissed at him over that.
Yeah, it was real weird.
Well, I mean, I understand it. That way you can build a coherent story out of it, as opposed to being like, oh god.
Well, it was dumb because like, especially with Phil Singer, like you do whatever you want, like because people have asked like, well, how do I do this right? And I'm like, you're just booking for yourself. Like I use it. People make like joke about now, but I said like, you're just entertaining yourself. Like if Jimmy Valiant like dressed as the Easter Bunny is beating up Luthez with a giant carrot like makes you happy, like then fucking do it. Like it's your own deal. Like there's no wrong way to do it. If you're having fun, like that's your purview.
Yeah. Pretty much.
How is your stream fed been going? Has it been doing pretty consistent?
So they have it's been getting pretty consistent viewership. The thing that bugs me is that it's very hard for me to have reasonable expectations. Because if I sim matches ahead of time because I want to kind of have an idea of how the interplay looks, then it's like there are characters that get red light fever. As soon as it's on stream, they act completely differently. And I'm like, you don't know any better. What are you doing? Why are you like this? What is wrong with you?
That's kind of like why I like the Phil Singer system, though, was what you're dealing with is like you can't control the outcomes, so you have to be creative to like work around like.
Yeah.
But have you had this has happened to me with like stuff. Have you had like the big type title match that ends in like 2 minutes?
5.5.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
Yep. Well, because it was hyped up as this was going to be a back and forth thing, and every time I simmed it ahead of time, it was this big back and forth thing, and then I do it on stream, and the champion just dominates the match and beats the piss out of the challenger. And it's like... And then despite messing with people's stuff and adjusting, and there's some people that just can't buy a win, and I don't know why not.
That's the
I haven't
worst.
been able to figure that out.
Especially like, cause like, I'm pretty like, cause I'm sure you do what I do when you make jobbers. Like you just put their like stats down to like nothing, so they pretty much die pretty quick, and then like
and they still don't.
Yeah, and then
every now and then one of them still wins.
And then like you have that person you're trying to build up, and it's like you can't even beat the jobber with like no attributes.
Yeah, the one thing I have discovered is that a character who does not have a special skill, a character who is basically all stats, and the special skill is just finisher or whatever, is consistently more successful. Apparently, raw stats are a key to winning in Fire Pro.
Yeah, I've known that much. You're making me want to fire up my Joshi promotion again. Because it's nice. What I like about Fire Pro 2 is like it keeps your title histories. which is real nice.
Oh yeah, that is nice. I like that too.
It doesn't keep win-loss records, though, I don't think.
Believe it or not, I have someone who watches the stream that does that simply
nice.
because they want to. It's just
back in the day, my Fire Pro experience was playing on the Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember so Game Boy Advance is obviously I'm dating myself. This is like 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like 20
25
20 years
about.
Yeah.
2001.
Well,
2001.
I definitely was doing Fire Pro 1 and 2, Fire Pro Advance 20 years ago. So long time ago. But I made a lot of creator wrestlers, and I kept I did my own faction or promotion, and I kept detailed logs. So I kept track of wins, losses. I booked stuff. I literally booked a promotion doing that. Because the thing I love about Fire Pro just in general is that you can just sim the hell out of stuff.
Yeah.
You can just create and then just have the computer run it. And I actually did it back in the day doing on Advance. I would sim stuff, and sometimes it'd be awesome matches, and it's shit, this is a great match. And it would be just random stuff. But
yeah,
I got a question though, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Fire Pro is on Steam, or it used to be.
It still is.
Mm-hmm. Fire Pro Wrestling World's on Steam, yeah.
So I've said to you guys before, at some point probably later this year, plan to get a Steam Deck.
Let me see.
Could I play Fire Pro on the Steam Deck?
Let me look.
Yeah. Because it was Fire Pro Wrestling World was not only on the Steam Deck, but it was on Steam, but it was on PlayStation. So yeah, you 100% could.
I'm checking it. It'll
because as I've shared with you guys offline before, it's if I can play something like a video game, it's gonna have to basically be handheld.
Yeah.
I don't have the time in my life to sit down at a console or a computer.
It's Steam Deck.
So it's gotta be. I gotta be able to hand. But if I got Fire Pro if I bought a Steam Deck and then I had downloaded it to the Steam Deck, hell yeah, I would.
Yeah.
It's all on
play the
sale.
hell out of that probably.
It's all on sale right now. So the game's on sale for $9, and then you can get the New Japan one of the the Stardom collab DLC 6. The Parts Craft is $9. Oh, there's some other stuff I don't have. The Takayama charities are $1. The second Stardom one is $6. New Japan is $6. And there's a couple of the wrestler packs that are
Yeah.
I don't have the second Takayama DLC. What's that? Is that new? I don't have that. What is that?
I'm not sure.
Custom Ring Takamania Empire, Custom Ring Takamania, Promotion Stable Logo Takamania, Wrestler Parts, Edit Parts, Chest, 4 T-shirt logos. Okay, so that's.
I have most of them.
Do you have the Parts Craft? Because that's $9 right now, down from $30.
Yeah, I do. I have the Move Craft. I even made a move that I developed in the ring, and I don't think I've not seen anybody else use. But it's a little jank.
And Matt, you can go into they have a Steam workshop. You can get almost any wrestler you can imagine in the workshop.
Yeah, I've seen people just go crazy doing the creator wrestlers. I probably would download some stuff. Yeah.
I do a Stardom one in there when I do play.
I was really impressed. The other day I found a Bobby Fulton on there where they had redone the face to actually look a lot like Bobby Fulton's face. It wasn't one of the end game models. They had customed up the face for it.
Yeah, and it's been that one's a little older now. I think it's about 8 years old now as a game, but it's worth it. Especially if you're just gonna sim, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't actually play it.
But the thing with Steam is it'll tell you so I went in there. It'll say if it's Steam Deck compatible, or if if it'll work on there and what issues it has, or it'll just say it doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't actually play it. I just sim it.
Yeah,
because I don't like the controls, and
managing the breathing's really counterintuitive at times.
I'll be honest. The other thing that happened. I'm sorry, Matt. You go ahead and say it, and then I'll say mine.
I was actually just gonna say, like, I actually like the breathing aspect of it. It can be annoying, yes, but it does add a mechanic to it that does make you like actually strategize what you're doing.
I think it's just
because you can't just like spam like your big moves and your finishers. You actually have to like plan and be like, okay, I did this. I need to like
wear them down.
Yeah,
but I think it's as best as a sim. Honestly, like my personal opinion, I think it's as strongest as a sim.
There is, for people who played other games and are not aware, like there is a learning curve.
Oh,
there's absolutely a learning curve. Yeah, but it's not an impossible learning curve at all.
No, but
what are you gonna say, Chad? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is that wrestling games for me have actually lost their luster for playing them. Since doing it, my problem is that if I'm playing the game, the point of the game is go ahead and win. You don't want to take too long because then you don't want to give the AI the opportunity to come back and beat you. So you got to beat. But then I'm like, man, this match sucks. Yeah. Where's the comeback? Where's the cutoff? This match sucks.
The time aspect is what kills me now too. Other than the games can be too complicated, but even if you gave me like the Aki system again, like I think I would lose interest in the actual matches. Like I just want to get the results up, get my like promotion moving, like do title histories and stuff. But like the doing the matches aspect, I just like I'll do a couple of them. It's like I could be doing something else. Like it's my problem with sports games now. Like I really want to get like the show or something, but I know I'm going to get like 3 games in, and I'm like, this is just kind of a waste of my time.
It's just not. It's not fun for me to play a wrestling game now because it's just all wrong. It's like this is not how a match works, and I don't know what to do about it. And you know the way that you're supposed to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's about it for this week. I don't know what we're talking about next week, but we'll figure that out. We'll probably get back to the USWA pretty quickly because I think we've had some pretty good momentum on that lately. And this has been Matt, Shad, and Brad with the 4Corners podcast. I almost screwed that up. We've been in 3 corners. You've been in the 4th. Thank you for watching as always. We appreciate it greatly, and we will catch you